So it is 4:01. No, it's 4 o'clock exactly. And we are going to start the LAFCO regular session meeting for November 9th, 2023. And can I get a roll call, please? Oh, do you want me to do that again?
Recording in progress.
Okay. Roll call. Commissioner Curro?
Here.
Commissioner Gonzalez?
Here.
Commissioner Jordan is absent. Commissioner Betancourt?
Here.
And Commissioner Casey.
Here.
Okay, great. We are going to recite the Pledge of Allegiance, and we're going to have Commissioner Gonzalez lead us. Thank you so much, Commissioner Gonzalez. Okay, so can I get we're on item number 3, approve the affidavit of posting of the agenda.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's a 4-0. Okay, so now is the time for public comment for opportunities to speak on items not on the agenda.
If anyone in the chambers would like to make a comment, please provide a speaker card. There's no one on Zoom. No public comment.
Okay, great. Okay, so we're moving on to item 5.1, approval of the minutes from the October 12th, 2023 regular meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's a 4-0. Okay, 5.2 is seating special districts on LAFCO. This was brought to the commission from our alternate, our public alternate, asked if we could start the discussion just to learn about how other LAFCOs have their commission structured. So Jennifer, if you'd like to give us a little education on that, that'd be great.
Your microphone is not on.
Hello. Okay, there we go. I think I've got the presentation that's going to be shared up on the screen here. Okay, there we go. We need antiviral protection. Okay. So it happens to be very good timing that we're discussing this because my 2 other LAFCOs are in the midst of beginning this process of seating special districts on them. So very timely, and I have this presentation just to talk a little bit about what the benefits are, what the process looks like, and what the cost would be associated with it. And then after the presentation, what I'm looking for from you is if you decide you'd like to move forward with this, that consideration would be at perhaps our next meeting or the January meeting. I would probably recommend the January meeting where it would give me opportunity to send out to the special districts an invitation to come and take part in the conversation. But we can talk a little bit about the process so you can see what I'm looking at. Let's see here. So why be on LAFCO? Frankly, a majority of LAFCO's decisions are going to be about special districts. In San Benito, you have 2 cities, and then the rest are special districts. So just about every decision is about those special districts that should have a voice in these decisions that affect them. And many of them regarding consolidation, dissolution, these are very significant decisions that LAFCO is making. Like it says there, if you're not at the table, then you're on the table. So across the state, generally, a LAFCO consists of 2 county supervisors plus an alternate, 2 city council members, and an alternate, and 1 public member and an alternate. And if the LAFCO chooses, they can add 2 special district directors and an alternate. About half, the ones in yellow on the screen, are the ones that have special district representation on them. So it's pretty significant, and it's definitely a trend given some of LAFCO's new powers to be able to initiate certain reorganizations that affect special districts, particularly consolidation that LAFCO can initiate. So I think the special districts are taking more interest in being a part of those conversations. So the advantages to districts being on LAFCO. Already mentioned, they get to vote on those decisions that affect them. They can also, in addition to the annexations and reorganizations of the districts, but also the MSR and sphere of influence decisions, right, that we're talking about. So once again, the MSRs are going to be predominantly covering special districts, so they can bring a special district perspective to those discussions. The other decisions that are being made are regarding the addition of latent powers for, once
Jennifer,
again, special districts.
excuse me, but, can you use an example? Let's say, San Benito County Water District.
Mm-hmm.
They would have 2 members on this commission? this LAFCO, if they became a special district.
So the special districts in total, all special districts in the county would have 2 regular members sitting on LAFCO and 1 alternate. So the special districts would have to choose who those representatives are. They would get to vote. So it could be from any of the special districts that are
Whoa.
county.
So, you lost me. You're saying that if the San Benito County Water District would if became part of LAFCO as a special district, then all the special districts in the county would come up. That's what you just.
So they
can I
have
try?
to all choose to be a part of LAFCO. One special district can't choose to be a part of LAFCO. It has to be a decision for all special districts. So there's a voting process, and a majority of the special districts that would have to choose to be part of LAFCO. And then from all of the special districts, they would vote on representation.
Excuse me. Wow.
So, just to clarify, if you could, I know almost all the special districts by heart because of being in elections previously, but can you describe how many types of special districts we have in San Benito County right now that LAFCO is overseeing? Do you know?
Oh, goodness. Well,
I
we
can-
have
I can-
that list.
That's okay.
for
I
the
can kind of
MSR.
ramble off just to give Commissioner Betancourt a little idea. San Benito County Water District is a special district in the county right now.
Right.
The Aromas Tri-County Fire District is a special district. Tres Pinos Water District is a special. Sunny Slope is a special district. We also have now the Pacheco Pass Storm Water District is a special district. All of those districts would have to come together and vote to determine if they wanted to have representation on LAFCO. And if they chose a majority to have representation on LAFCO, that group of special districts would then appoint 2 members and an alternate.
Now I got it.
You got it?
Yeah.
That help?
Thank
Okay.
you.
No problem. Keep going, Jennifer.
Thanks. And I should clarify, it's independent special districts. So the CSAs, because they are dependent special districts, are not part of this decision-making process. The county already has a seat at the table, so that's why dependent districts are not considered part of the voting process. Okay, so. Okay, so we talked about all the decisions that LAFCO is making that do affect the special districts. So thus, of course, they want to take part in that. it gives the special districts an opportunity to participate on an equal basis with the cities and the counties. And they gain stature by being able to take part in that. And it also builds better relationships with the county supervisors and the mayors by them being able to take part. But the advantages to LAFCO and are, as I mentioned, the district's bringing a different perspective to LAFCO that's distinct from the general government entities, right? A little bit different, and they have kind of a more detailed knowledge of what's going on in these districts compared to the operations of county or cities. They are very service focused and bring a knowledge of their infrastructure, and they often tune in with the spirit intent of LAFCO law fairly easily. And also it provides an kind of an alternative to the dynamics that's between the county and the city. So by bringing in a third party that's participating in those conversations. So the cost of being on LAFCO. It's written into Cortese Knox Hertzberg that LAFCO would be funded 1/3 each from the county, the cities, and then the independent special districts. However, it can be negotiated. So if the special districts chose to join, then they would be responsible for 1/3 of the operating costs of LAFCO's budget that's determined on a yearly basis. And the way that that's allocated to each one of those districts is based on a ratio of their operating revenues to the operating revenues of all districts in the county. So larger districts with more revenues will be paying more of the percentage. And if we come back to this at the next meeting or at some future juncture, I can bring an estimate of what that would look like based on LAFCO's previous budget, maybe from last year for each one of the districts that would be asked to vote. And I have to say, typically, it's not very much. For those agencies that are very small, it's fractional portion of their revenues. So, this offers even the smallest of districts a voice. So they're no longer just a small district because they have a part at the table, and definitely alters the balance of power a bit. And this is the process. So what would happen is LAFCO would need to send out a letter of invitation. And that is what I would recommend considering at a future meeting. And when you do consider sending that letter of invitation, I would recommend inviting the districts to come and take part in that conversation at a LAFCO meeting. So if you choose to send this letter of invitation, the districts will receive the letter as well as a resolution. And the resolution would have to be adopted and returned by a majority of the districts. So if you have 20 districts, we would need 11 resolutions returned to us supporting the districts sitting on LAFCO. The thing is that if we receive that, all of those districts that chose not to support it, they're still obligated to be part of LAFCO and provide a portion of the operating budget. So then LAFCO adopts a resolution of intention, meaning they call a vote of the special districts to choose representation on LAFCO, and the executive officer conducts that vote. So they would nominate those that are interested in representing and then conduct an election to have them seated. And that's
May I ask a question?
Mhm.
Okay, now say we decide to extend the invitation. We as a sitting LAFCO board decide to extend the letter of invitation, and we get to the 50% plus one. It sounds like that's what it is, for. So those that join that choose to be part of it, the others don't have a choice. When you bring back the cost, if you can calculate what it's going to cost to those individuals who may be charged a fee, even though they don't choose to participate, I think that's something that we need to consider before we go and decide this. Now, look at the audience participation. I don't know how many people are on Zoom. How many people are on Zoom?
0.
Okay, so we have 0. So we're discussing a real significant broadening of the LAFCO jurisdiction, power, and authority without the participation in the room urging us to do that. And I don't want to sound like I'm not being inclusive. I would really love to have more people at the table to have a say in what's going on, because we're in a juncture where we're making a lot of changes for the community. But if you look at the reality of the participation of who's actually listening to the meetings, there's not very many, and I would hate to go a route that then imposes something on the smaller districts, or the smaller, what are they, special districts. I'm thinking specifically Pacheco Pass one.
Oh, yeah,
We just
yeah.
formulated that. They had no funds. They're dealing with the major crisis with FEMA and the levies, and there's 3 people that we were able to bring on their board to participate, and I know they're overwhelmed with just what they're dealing with the water management and trying to clear the levees, and to have a cost imposed on them because they're not big enough to be able to gain a seat. That's what I'm worried about, the unintended consequence of going this route.
I have a question for you.
Right ahead.
Is
Right
that okay?
ahead, yeah.
I thought I saw that we were going to talk about advantages and disadvantages. Did I miss the disadvantages? Did you cover that? Like, what's a disadvantage of having this special district come in?
Yeah, the
That's
cost
the
to
cost
the
of-
districts would probably be the primary one. I can't see another reason
Okay.
or disadvantage to them
Okay.
sitting on LAFCO.
Go ahead, Richard.
If I was, we got a gentleman back here that used to sit on the Trespinas water district and sewer. Anyway, what you said was that the bigger the money people in the district, special district, would have maybe the 2 votes, right?
No.
Why would Trespinas have 2 members on and only contributed $3,000, let's say, a year, and speak for the people that are putting in the biggest portion of the 1/3 of the cost of the budget?
So it wouldn't be 2 members from each special district. It would be 2 members from all special districts. So,
I understand.
so certainly if there's one district that is footing a larger portion of the bill, then perhaps that's part of the agreement amongst the special districts, given that X special district is providing 50% of the budget, that they can have a sole seat dedicated to them on LAFCO. And then the other 2 seats, the one regular and alternate, would be dependent on the election or something like that. But that would be amongst the special districts to determine if that ends up being the case. And we can look at the finances when I bring that back to you with an estimate of what that would look like. Another thing that I should mention is that some LAFCOs have come up with alternate financing structures in order to promote special districts being on LAFCO. For example, Lake County, they did 10%. Instead of the 1/3, because the cities and counties were already footing the bill, they agreed that in the interest of having special districts on LAFCO, that the special districts only had to pay 10%. And the county and cities would continue to pay the, whatever it is, 45 and 45%.
I know I talked to San Benito County Water District about, becoming or coming aboard. I did not realize that, not just one special district, it has to be all of them. Whether they, now, do the special districts, have a vote?
2 votes. One to join, so their boards would each have to approve the resolution and return it to LAFCO. That's the first vote.
And just to clarify, Jennifer, sorry to interrupt, but that would be a majority of their board would have to agree in order to participate.
Right. So each board would vote and approve the resolution, and if we receive a majority of resolutions back from those districts, then they will be seated on LAFCO. And then the next vote is the representation vote.
So it's a 2-step voting process. First, each special district votes to say yay or nay, I want to participate, or we want to participate. The second step is all those special districts would then negotiate and determine who the representation would be, and there'd be 2, and they're not from the same district. And that would be part of their negotiations.
Say there's 10 special districts. Three of them don't want to participate. So they're not the majority. The majority would have to be part of it, right? Is that what I
Right.
understand?
Right, but they could, if the 3 that did choose not to participate, they would be at the table to be able to negotiate the rate and percentage that each district may or may not be charged. So, for example, and please correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm trying to wrap my head around this whole thing. If the majority of the special districts agreed to have 2 representatives and an alternate on the commission, the special districts could negotiate what the rate of cost could be if it was left at 1/3, or if this commission reduced it from being 1/3 in some sort of manner. Like we say, okay, well, we're going to pay for 75%, and you guys are going to pay for 25%, and between the 10 districts, the cost will be divided up amongst the ratio of their revenue. It could be negotiated that a special district like Pacheco Stormwater District is not participating at all because of their resource restrictions, but that's part of the negotiation of the special districts.
So generally, it's determined by that ratio of revenues over total revenues. So that part has, to my knowledge, is non-negotiable.
So that's part of the act that you can't,
Right.
but it could be that we reduce the percentage over all of special districts, which would reduce their amount because their revenue was so low. But I think, and I agree with Commissioner Gonzalez, we need those numbers before we continue the conversation moving forward. I think the districts, I'm looking at this as an opportunity for outreach. And even if it all just dies, what a great opportunity to educate special districts about them possibly having a voice at the table and explaining what LAFCO does for them. So I'm looking at this as we extend an invitation to have a conversation. We bring them to the next meeting, we'll say January. We say, this is what we want to talk about, and these are kind of some of the cost it would be. Are you interested in this commission moving it forward or not?
I got another question. If we don't go and or give them the opportunity to become part of LAFCO, like I believe that we should maybe even dissolve some of those districts, i.e. Pacheco Pass, both those districts, and maybe consolidate them into the San Benito County Water District. if they're part of LAFCO, could that still happen?
Yep, definitely.
Yep. And I mean, do you have any, you want to add anything, Commissioner?
No, I was gonna make a correction. It's Pacheco Creek Storm District.
Okay.
Yes. Where the other is Pacheco Pass Water District.
Thank you for the clarification.
I thought it was Dam,
No,
Chaco Dam Water District. No? Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Casey, do you want to add anything?
I don't think so.
don't think so.
I'm just not sure about it yet, so I have to, want to hear more.
And we could, as a commission, say, okay, you know, we want to have more dialogue. Commissioner Jordan isn't here today. We could bring it back maybe in December for just us, and maybe the cost, what it might look like for the districts, maybe at a third or 20 or whatever, where we could kind of have some ideas of what we're looking at. And then if the commissioners decide that we want to move forward with an invitation, but I look at this as an opportunity to connect, and I'm fully available to do some calls and outreach to special districts so that they understand what we're trying to do for them.
Through the chair,
Yes.
wouldn't you think we would send out a flyer or whatever to each one of the special districts to maybe have them come to the meeting? And
It's an option that we can do. I don't feel like the December meeting is a good meeting for this because of the holidays. If we did an invite like that, I would think January would be better, but that's just my opinion.
okay, would that put an overload on you?
No, nope. I've got a flyer ready to go. It's informational about what LAFCO is, and I have a letter inviting
Okay.
them to take part in the discussion. So I think it would be a great idea. No overload on me at all. I do think some topics for consideration by this commission will be when you do have those estimates, whether or not you're willing to lower the 30% or 1/3% apportionment to the special districts or not. And I think that's a decision that needs to be made before the invitation is sent out with the resolution so that the districts know what, are informed as to what they're getting themselves into. You can have the conversation with them. I can send the informational flyer and the letter to please come to LAFCO's next meeting to have a conversation without that decision being made. But that will be something that you'll have to decide on before sending out the resolution.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to go forward without notifying the special districts of what we're about to do, and maybe we can fill the chambers.
And I feel like this is just the start of the conversation, just to get us all
Right.
thinking about it.
Right.
So, is there a wish or, how would you guys like to move forward?
Well, personally, I would like to see us agree to that 10% or at least a reduction of some sort before we even extend the invitation to come and speak to us regarding this topic, because I would not want the cost to be prohibitive and then say, well, we don't want to participate because we can't afford 1/3 of the LAFCO budget, whatever that number is. So I would love to have that flexibility to offer them, just to bring them to the conversation to see if they want to participate.
I agree with that. I think finding out what we're talking about dollar-wise before we start sending out invites to people and talking to them, that's the better way, so we're prepared.
I completely agree, and I think if it's not too much on you, if we could do that in December, so that we can have an open conversation about what does this really look like, and what are really a list of all the special districts from your prior presentations. I think that would be really great. So does that give you enough? This wasn't a voting item. Does that give you enough to work?
We'll put it on the December agenda.
Great. Any other comments? Oh, I didn't open it to
Public
public
comment.
comment.
I was
I'm
just
going to
gonna
open
say,
it to public comment.
comment.
If you'd like to make a comment in chambers, please provide a speaker card.
Okay.
It's okay. You
Don't
can just
worry
come
about
to
it.
the
Come on
podium.
up. You don't even have to fill it out.
Thank you for coming up to make the public comment, because I wanted to invite you up, but I didn't want to put you on the spot.
Right.
My name is Greg Alvarado. I live in Christina. And the only thing I have to say is, okay,
Start again. We're gonna give you your 3 minutes back.
all right.
There you go.
My name is Greg Alvarado. I live in Tres Pinas. And the main thing I have to say is I think this would be a good idea because I am of the belief if you don't get involved, I don't want to hear you complain about it. That's why I was on the Tres Pinas Water District. I was vice president of my union for over 12 years. I was on the board for 20 years because I wanted to have some say-so. So I think that they should know more about what LAFCO does. And that's just, I'm just saying that I think this is a good idea. That's all I have.
Thank you so much for your comments.
Thank you.
No other public comment.
Okay, and that included Zoom. Okay, thank you. Just, I know we were 0, but somebody could have popped on. You can always wish. Okay, so we're gonna move on to 5.3 unless you have any questions. Jennifer, you're good? You're good, okay. So we're gonna move on to 5.3, which is establish LAFCO policies and guidelines, Commissioner's Handbook, and update, potentially creating an ad hoc for this. Go right ahead, Jennifer.
Let's see here. A lot of it's in the background and summary on this item. The policies and guidelines were originally adopted in 1982 and then amended in 2003 and 2004. So, to my knowledge, in the records, it doesn't look like they've been amended since. So it's been 2 decades. And then in addition to that, you have the Commissioner's Handbook that was adopted in 2016 and then amended in 2017, which is not nearly as dated. However, there's a lot of overlap in what's in the Commissioner Handbook versus in the policies and guidelines. So if you're going to update the policies and guidelines, I recommend simultaneously updating the Commissioner Handbook to make sure that they're all consistent. And also to streamline that Commissioner Handbook because there's quite a bit of content on policies in the Commissioner Handbook that should really remain just in the policies and guidelines manual. So in order to do that, what I'm proposing is the commission establish an ad hoc committee to guide those changes and edits to bring back to the commission as a whole. I would go through and comprehensively update both documents, looking at 1, what are the current legal requirements, 2, what are other best practices by other neighboring LAFCOs. There's quite a bit regarding agricultural policies that many LAFCOs have done that probably need to be incorporated into any kind of updates or amendments that are going on here. That kind of thing. So I would comprehensively update and then bring it to the ad hoc committee for review and input, and then it would come to the commission as a whole. And it would come back to you at least twice because you would need to consider it first, and then we would need to set a public hearing for consideration and update at the public hearing. So 2 times it would come before the full commission. So we're talking about a multi-month process to get this concluded.
Let's open it up to public comment before we bring it back to the commissioners.
Any public comment in chambers? Please provide a speaker card. No comments and no one on Zoom.
Okay, so we'll bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Gonzalez.
Wait.
Oh.
This is for ad hoc committee, right? Or
The direction right now from staff is to have the executive officer review the existing policies and guidelines and the commissioner's handbook and make recommendations of legal corrections and updates and some suggestions of maybe potential future policies. Bring that to the ad hoc, whomever we choose to have on the ad hoc, and then there would be 2 meetings, one that would bring it back to the commission and then one that would be a public hearing.
does that include having alternates?
That would be the topic for the ad hoc to
Well,
discuss.
I don't understand, because when we stopped that, there's one meeting, we said no more. Done. And it went in the handbook. So was that illegal?
Technically, any updates to the handbook and policy and guidelines should at least occur at a public hearing. That has to be noticed as a public hearing 21 days in advance. And you're supposed to get input from the various agencies that LAFCO has jurisdiction over in the county. So I don't know exactly what occurred, but it sounds to me
Okay.
that perhaps.
And council is on Zoom right now. Josh, would you like to step in on this conversation?
Yeah, I mean, I would say we can certainly look at what happened previously. I think the important thing, as Jennifer mentioned, is that going forward, we're going to follow the process that's required. But I'm happy to take a look with Jennifer into this. I think one of the challenges we both have is we're relatively new to our positions, so we're not as familiar with what may have happened previously.
Thank you, Josh.
On behalf of my alternate, or any alternate, but especially mine, because your guys' alternate are part of the board, and the person in San Juan is a commissioner on their board, and the point that I'm trying to get at is Ellie and I, we go to a lot of meetings, but if that individual doesn't go, why would they want to come to the meeting or even participate in it? What I'm trying to do is get LAFCO alternates more to participate in our meetings, so that they can get in the debate with us, good or bad, but we still have the vote. So, that's just my opinion, why I'm fighting hard for. And it may not be a good idea sometimes. Huh, Elio?
So are you volunteering to be on the ad hoc for?
I'll be on it, yeah.
So we have one person, and I know we don't have Commissioner Jordan here, so just keeping that in.
Time commitment, what are we looking at in terms of bringing this back for a review? Are we talking next month, 2 months, a couple of months? It's just very busy right now for me. I would love to be on the ad hoc to assist you, but I'm just looking at the time commitment that we're going to have, the time parameters and then the time commitment involved.
So I imagine I wouldn't be able to turn around a comprehensive update to you until the beginning of the new year, probably. So it'd probably be for the ad hoc committee, the commitment would start in January.
Okay.
And it would probably be 2 meetings, I'm imagining, but also a need to read through the entirety of the policies.
Okay.
And
I'll volunteer then to be on the ad hoc, because January, it's that window's good. Yeah, because I'm somewhat familiar of the isolation that happened with the other public representative, that and the aftermath that happened. I was not on LAFCO when the change took place, very much against the way it took place, and so I'm eager to have legal's opinion to make sure that we do it appropriately this time. So I would work with Richard. Yeah, happy to work with Richard on
Okay.
that.
Commissioner Jordan? Commissioner Casey? My apologies.
I'm feeling a little behind in things right now, so I don't want to commit to another ad hoc, but it sounds like you've got a couple. I don't know how many you need on an ad hoc, but
Just two.
I'd like to pass this time around.
Okay, well, I support both of you being on, and if Commissioner
Absolutely.
Casey is on board, then I think what's great about this is starting the conversation. about what can change in our manuals and get updated, but also looking at this through the lens of the potential special district participants and how alternates can participate or can't participate, whatever that may be, making it very clear within the guidelines that if we are saying we want alternates to participate, we need our alternates to be here. So it's one of those things, I don't want to say, oh, this alternate can and this alternate can't, or that, it's if they want to participate or not. I think more participation, more input from our commissioners and our alternates could be very beneficial because everybody comes from a different perspective. That's mine too. So I think we have, do we have to do a motion on this one? Because it is appointing an ad hoc?
Yes.
Okay, so do I have a motion? Oh, apologize. Public comment. I do apologize.
If you'd like to make a comment in chambers, you can come to the podium.
I'm just wondering if it would be fine for the public alternate to participate in the ad hoc? Or is that going to be part of the rules that have to be placed into the policies?
That's a great question, and I think we'd
Legal
have
counsel,
to
maybe?
give that to Josh to define.
Because my understanding of ad hoc is that it can't go beyond the 2 members, because it would exceed a quorum, but go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, I agree, unfortunately, just because it's possible that alternate could be sitting on the commission, and we would have a quorum. I would not recommend that, unfortunately.
Okay, I think we got council's opinion on this, but if something comes up that is alternate to what you've just stated, I'd like you to bring it back to Jennifer and the current ad hoc if this is where we're going.
Will do.
Thank you.
If you'd like to make a comment on Zoom, please press *9 on your phone or the raise your hand icon on your screen. No other comments.
Okay, the one thing before we bring a motion to the table is the recommendations from staff is the reviewing of the handbook and the policy and guidelines. Second is appointing 2 commissioners to inform and guide efforts in the comprehensive update of both the policy and guidelines and the commissioner handbook. But the third is to provide staff direction regarding commissioners' policies of interest and inclusion in the update. So one is about alternates being on at the dais and being able to have a voice. Are there any other? I liked where the executive officer went with the ag policies, but is there anything else that you guys would like to have as a point of interest? And if you think of it at a later date, we can have you email Jennifer with any additions. Okay, so is there a motion?
And Chair, I apologize. I had an opportunity to kind of think this one through, and because Public Member Betancourt is a proposed member of the ad hoc, his alternate actually could participate in that ad hoc without raising a quorum issue. So I apologize. I amend my advice on that. That would be a possibility.
Okay, thank you.
So then the ad hoc would then consist of
I
both
got a
public
question
members
for
and
the
myself.
attorney. We just created an ad hoc committee for a specific thing, and also this 5.3 said we're talking about policies and guidelines. Is creating an ad hoc committee in our handbook now?
I'm going to defer to our executive officer.
I don't know is the answer to that.
The reason I
Policies are
say that
already-
because this is the first time in all the years that I've been on LAFCO that I ever recall ad hoc committees, so, and I'm not
Actually, we had a
against it.
hiring ad hoc just shortly.
Yes.
Yeah, we did.
A while ago. I would agree.
We had an executive officer ad hoc.
Yeah, 'cause I was on it.
Yeah,
And,
I was on it too.
Yeah.
And the wastewater MSR ad hoc also.
Yeah.
Right, and we do have a
As well.
wastewater ad hoc, that's right.
You're saying it is in the handbook?
I'm looking right now.
Oh.
I don't know about the policy specific, but
Okay.
you have,
Yeah, I was- And I would say whether, and apologize for interrupting, I'd say whether or not it's in the policy, which I think it's important for us just to confirm, we want to be inconsistent with the policy. The commission, just sort of as part of its inherent powers as a body, has the ability to sort of create an ad hoc if it wishes.
Okay, great. Thank you for that clarification there, Josh.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so now let's bring it back. Do we have a motion?
So moved. Don't make me repeat it, though.
No, we're going to say per staff recommendations with Commissioner Betancourt, Commissioner Gonzalez, and alternate Commissioner Salinas on the ad hoc.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, moving on. So now we're going to go to application fee comprehensive update. And Jennifer, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
So the fees, as they exist, are included in the policies and guidelines that you'll be asked to, hello? That you'll be asked to update here. But the fees were last updated in 2003, similar to the policies and guidelines, and they are woefully out of date and do not even cover a fraction of what it costs LAFCO to be able to process any of the applications that you have coming in. They're very low. So part of legal requirement is that we can only charge exactly what it costs to provide the service. So it's kind of irrelevant what neighboring LAFCOs are charging because their charges will be different and costs will be different. So I will have to go through and come up with some kind of spreadsheet to determine number of hours that are typically used for each type of application and come back to you with an estimate. But that said, there are two different strategies for charging fees for applications. One is a flat fee, which is, we say an annexation tends to take 20 hours of staff time, so therefore the flat fee is whatever. And that's what's received from the applicant. If it goes exorbitantly over that amount of time, if it's severely complicated, then we may go back to the applicant and ask for additional money, but there's no guarantee that you will get it. The other strategy is to just ask for a deposit, so it's a deposit-based strategy. So you ask for a deposit of a particular amount and track time, and then as you exceed the hours or it starts to dwindle to a low amount, then you ask for additional funds to cover the remainder of the project. I have to say that for easy applications, those that are straightforward, I think we can come to a fairly close estimate as to what it will cost so that a flat fee basis is okay, and many LAFCOs do a hybrid approach where they have a flat fee for straightforward and then a deposit-based system for those that are more complicated, such as maybe processing of a formation or something like that. So I leave it up to you what you want your strategy to be, but it will inform my estimates as I'm trying to come up with an updated fee structure to propose to you. So I leave it in your hands. Flat fee or a deposit-based system or perhaps a hybrid.
Okay, I'm going to open it up to public comment first
Go for it.
because I'm getting better at that.
If you'd like to make a comment in chambers, you can come up to the podium. On Zoom, please press *9 on your phone or the raise your hand icon on your screen. Elia Salinas?
Thank you. I would defer to the specialist, as in to maybe give the commission an idea of what type of application actually takes what period of time, because we don't handle it. We've never handled it. We just give the work and we rely on it. And honestly, the last long period of time, I was consistently asking for a timesheet as to what work was being done, and that was not being presented to the commission. It was just a bill. And I think as a commission, we need to know if you're spending 5 hours on an application, then your bill should reflect that that application took 5 hours. If you're billing the commission for speaking to a commissioner or a public member, any public member, is that also on your accounting for time charging the commission as well? Because we don't have that answer. We've never gotten that answer. I've asked for that answer and it was completely ignored. So I think it's important now, because you're the individual who knows. You've been doing this for a long time, and B and I, we went to law school, and I may do, I'm just going to use a cost analysis. Like the first time you work and you put in a garage door opener, it took 10 hours. The next time you do a garage door opener, it took you 6 hours. First time is because you had to keep going back and forth because you needed equipment, and now by the time you're ready to do the 5th garage door opener, you're set, and it's taking you 2 hours. But that doesn't take away from your experience as an individual. And I knew in the legal field, it may take me 1 hour, but I'm going to charge you based on my experience. And we as a commission need to know what that is exactly, so that the applicants can get an idea of what they're getting into. But also look into it as well as, not because we don't charge the same as other counties, but what should we be charging regardless of what other counties are charging. So it could be we're charging $5 and we should be charging $10, so maybe we can start charging $8 and get them used to it. So.
Thank you for the comment. Any additional public comment?
No other public comment.
Commissioner Gonzalez?
As I was looking at the fees, Elia was alluding to billable hours. And so when, in terms of looking at attorney's fees, it's hourly, and so they have to bill it in 6-minute increments. So they break down the hour into multiples of 10. And so looking at the fees that are on page 113 of our packet, so if we have an EIR responsibility agency review and it's $1,765 to the flat fee that's being charged, is that fee enough to cover the time that would be required of you? And I think that's what Elia was trying to get at. And so I don't know when the last time we updated the fees, but
20 years ago.
20 years, just like the handbook, huh?
Yep. The answer is no, it's not adequate.
Okay, and that's what we need to know. And so times change, and everything costs more now, and your time is valuable. And so we need to be able to make sure whatever's being asked of you is going to be able to be covered within the fee that's going to be charged to the applicant. And so it sounds like we're going to have to adjust the fees. So do you need time to look at all the different types of applications that may be processed and the fees that are charged, and then come back to us and give us some numbers? Okay.
Yes, but I do need to know if you want me to do flat fee structure or the deposit based, where I charge for all hourly time that's used, or do we want to give the applicant an idea of exactly what it's going to cost so they can look at the fee schedule and know I have an annexation, it's going to cost me $5,000. Whereas deposit-based doesn't really give them a concept of what exactly it's ultimately going to cost.
Well, I think the flat fee might be the better route to go, because they know what it is, but I want us to look at the flat fees to make sure that they cover your time and your ability, and it looks like an adjustment's going to be necessary.
Commissioner Casey?
From a practical standpoint, I like the hybrid idea. I don't know how you feel about it, but having the flat fee for the simple things that you can cost out, but then being able to have that deposit for the more complex things, so you don't end up with a lot of time that you weren't counting on. I just would hate to have you tracking simple items that you really don't need to be spending time with billable hours, right? Because that's time that you're spending. So I don't know how you feel about it, but I think the hybrid model is actually a good one, so.
Commissioner Betancourt?
Oh, I get big bucks, you know. So when I'm talking to Jennifer, I asked her, I don't like to spend a lot of time like I used to with Bill, because I was educating myself and also educating him in the history of the county or certain projects that came up before us. So should I charge a fee, or can you charge a fee for me? And what would that be? Because what I get for up here is 0. So, and I suppose the rest of us do. So when I spend time with you, I think you indicated that it would be, you know, reasonable amount of time you're not charging for your time. I think I also told you that my time is expensive too, so maybe if you start charging me, I'm going to charge you.
We'll end up even.
Okay, my thought on this is, because of what I've heard from the history of some of these applications, where the simple ones could be a flat fee because it's known and it's very understood, but then some of these, I mean, I was talking with Darren previous to you, and some of the complexity of some of the applications that we have, how you don't want to be charging a flat fee that hurts individuals that have the simple ones. So I'm leaning towards the hybrid, because it gives them an idea of what they're gonna what they're gonna be charged. But if it becomes a complicated, they're gonna know it's not a one-stop shop. You know, that's my take on it. So with that, we already opened it up to public comment. I'm making sure I did that. Okay, and do we have a motion from the commission?
Do you need a motion, or are you looking for direction, just general?
You're right, it's just direction.
I'm for the
The hybrid?
No.
I'm with the hybrid also.
Me too.
After you've all explained it, yes, the hybrid is the best approach to go.
Okay, so you have enough to go forward, and we'll move on. Okay, and I did look at the fees when you presented the agenda. I will say that was shocking. I just, wow. It's been a while, so thank you so much for moving forward on this. Okay, next is item number 5.5, presentation of Cal LAFCO Award for Commissioner of the Year. And I am going to ask alternate Commissioner Salinas to come up and help perform the presentation.
I do have the nomination here in front of me. I
Okay.
thought we could read through. So,
That would be great. Thank you.
yeah. So let's see here. Public Member Commissioner Betancourt's exceptional performance has had a positive impact on the LAFCO process and the county he serves. His dedication, expertise, and complete knowledge of the code make him a standout commissioner who consistently goes above and beyond. Commissioner Betancourt has shown a genuine passion for public service and a strong commitment to the well-being of the county and its residents. He consistently prioritizes the public interest over personal or political agendas, making decisions that are rooted in fairness, transparency, and long-term sustainability. His dedication to upholding the values of LAFCO and ensuring the highest standards of governance is truly commendable. Commissioner Betancourt consistently exhibits a complete understanding of the county he serves. His knowledge extends beyond the basic requirements of his role, allowing him to make well-informed decisions that benefit the community at large. He has a keen awareness of the county's unique needs, challenges, geography, and opportunities, and has consistently advocated for solutions that reflect this understanding. This level of expertise is invaluable in maintaining the integrity and effectiveness of the LAFCO process of protection of agriculture, open space land, prevention of sprawl, and effective delivery of municipal services. Commissioner Betancourt has demonstrated outstanding leadership skills, having served as chair and vice chair. He actively engages with other commissioners, staff, and community members, fostering a collaborative and inclusive environment. His ability to effectively communicate complex concepts and navigate challenging discussions has been instrumental in building consensus and driving meaningful outcomes. One of the most impressive aspects of Commissioner Betancourt's performance is his extensive knowledge of government code and regulations governing LAFCO, consistently staying updated on the latest developments in LAFCO regulations relevant to enhance his knowledge. He consistently displays a deep understanding of the legal framework and guidelines, ensuring that all decisions and actions are in full compliance. His commitment to continuous learning and improvement further reinforces his suitability for the Outstanding Commissioner Award. Overall, Commissioner Betancourt stands out as an exceptional LAFCO commissioner who consistently goes above and beyond the requirements of his role. His complete knowledge of the code, outstanding leadership skills, and unwavering commitment to public service make him a deserving candidate, or recipient in this case, for this prestigious recognition.
Yay. So why don't you come up so that it can be on the mic? And while she's coming up, I just want to say thank you so much, Commissioner Salinas, for writing this nomination. And I would like to recommend that it be posted on the agenda so that it's attached to the minutes, so it's more public.
Yes, and I would like to get it on letterhead so we can present it to Richard so he can frame it and show it to his family at home. So,
I don't know if we have a designed letterhead, but we can put something together, I'm sure.
okay, yeah.
Okay, great.
Anyway.
And then
Do we have the
Oh, yeah.
award?
What was presented at the
you need to step up to the podium.
LAFCO? Oh,
I'm
there.
so glad you asked. Come on down.
You're the next contestant at the podium.
And I thank you for reading that, because none of us had seen that, and we were
Yeah.
wondering what
No,
the
the
context was. And it would have been nice to have on Tuesday for the Board of Supervisors meeting to read that into the
I need a
record.
new hat.
Yeah.
So, yes.
I'm going to apologize for that. That I had assumed that had been done and was attached, so my apologies for not having confirmed that.
So we get a new hat because we know you like hats. There's your
Yeah.
hat. Okay. You don't have to if you don't want to.
Wow.
Here it is. I don't think, oh, there's only a couple of us that have seen it.
Right.
Yeah.
So here you are, Mr. Commissioner Betancourt, for Outstanding Commissioner of Public
Well, they're
Member.
zooming in, so put it up.
Yeah,
put
zooming
it
in
up
right
for
now
yeah,
on the
they're
camera.
zooming in.
Can you
Okay,
get
that-
So I better not.
Okay, yeah, just hold it still.
You know,
Okay.
yeah, it's glass and we better, I'll keep a hold on it because I'm not going to give it to him at
Right.
100%.
Okay, look this way. I'm going to take a picture.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you,
That's
guys.
very well deserved, Richard.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. You are a mentor to all of us.
And thank you, Elliot. You
Feel
know
free to say some words there,
Yeah.
Commissioner
No.
Betancourt.
a lot.
Go ahead. Some words from you.
Wow. I didn't do this by myself. I mean, you ladies now are doing a great job. I've sat on this commission with Robert Rivas, Roland Resendez, Ignacio, Anthony Botello. I can't remember all of the folks that been on it with me, and so I always try to do my homework extensively, and also I trust in the Lord to help me along the way. So thank you. I guess I'm getting paid now. Thank you, everybody. I sure appreciate it. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations,
Yay.
Richard.
You know what? I want to thank his wife publicly, Sally, for sharing him with us, because he takes a lot of time out of the house, and she doesn't complain that I'm aware of all the time that he spends out here.
She told me that not to get a big head and start telling you guys what to do. That I won't do. Okay? Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, yes.
And I'm going to open it up to public comment just to see if we have anyone that would like to make a comment from the public.
If you'd like to make a comment in chambers, you can come up to the podium, and on Zoom, press *9 on your phone or the raise your hand icon. On Zoom, you've been unmuted. Please state your name. You have 3 minutes.
Hi, this is Commissioner Jordan. I just want to say I apologize first for not being there. And Richard, oh my gosh, what an honor and a privilege it is serving on this commission with you. Thank you for all you do and your guidance and support. I really do appreciate you.
Thank you, Leslie. I love you all. Okay?
Ditto. So I'm going to bring it back to the commissioners. Would you like to make any comments?
Commenting, thank you. Congratulations on this entire time. And I was lucky enough to present it to Commissioner Betancourt at the Board of Supervisors meeting on Tuesday. So that was a nice honor. His daughter and son-in-law were here to participate and to
Yeah, I'm
witness.
pretty proud of my family.
Yeah. We're proud of you too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Just congratulations. It's amazing, all these years of service, and I don't know how you do it. That's pretty awesome. I hope I can last at least half as long doing things. But you've been a wonderful mentor to me. I'm learning a lot from you, so I appreciate it.
You people like you deserve it more than I think I do, because of what you have to put up with in not only the public but on your console. But that's the name of the game.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Richard, thank you so much. You've really made the transition onto LAFCO so much easier for me, pointing me in the right direction, showing me where some of the challenges are. I really do thank each and every one of you, because it is a team effort. This is not just me, and I think we can be really proud of some of the things that we've started to move forward. So I just want to thank everybody.
And B, she and I went through some real troubled times about a year ago. LAFCO was dead. It was non-functional. And between her and I, we got it back into good form again, and probably the best of what I've sat with in the past. And I'm not lowering those folks either, because we did accomplish a lot of things over the years. Anyway, thank you all. I sure appreciate it.
Thank you, and that was our buzzer. Perfect timing there. Okay, so we're going to move on to 6.1, which is Executive Officer Communications. This is going to include an update on wastewater and MSR review, application statuses, and a conference report. So Jennifer, take it away.
Let's see here. As far as the wastewater MSR goes, I told you at the last meeting that we were anticipating responses from the agencies that are under review, And it appears that we've received responses from all of them with the exception of Sunny Slope. And Sunny Slope is actually just has been swamped, so they are preparing to submit theirs. And that's okay for the time being because we have several others to work on. So, but they have been in communication, so it's not a concern. Also, I had forgotten to update about this the last meeting, but it was a request that the MSR project website be put in Spanish as well, which we have been able to do. So it's up in Spanish for any of your constituents that would like to see that. And then that's, and we've started drafting, I guess, is the other update. So we've started drafting with the 2 cities, and next step will be interviews. And then application status, not much to update. I had requested additional items for the Intravia application from the city, and I have not received those yet, so I can't say that it's a complete application yet to bring in front of you. So I don't know timeline. If I don't have those items, then I can't say it's complete and start the process. And then the other item that we were going to have as an application was that out-of-area service agreement between Sunny Slope and the city, and I have not seen an application for that yet either.
That just came to us on Monday night
Okay.
and got direction to, approval, so that should be coming.
Okay, sounds good. And then finally, the conference. So for me, it wasn't so great, but I'm certain for you guys it was lots learned. I work from my home office 360 days a year, and the one day of the year that I'm out and about, I get sick. So, yeah.
Me too.
There were multiple illnesses from the conference.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, I hope it
I think I
wasn't
might
for
have been
me.
the only one that didn't get sick. Yeah.
I hope it wasn't from me. And I'm sorry if it was, because it was not pretty. But I did make it through my presentation for my session, so I was happy about that. But then I didn't come out of my room until I checked out and left. So sorry if I didn't get to see everybody and talk with you. I thought that there were some very good sessions, though, and I really was glad I was able to take part in the coastal roundtable. I like hearing a different perspective because previously I've taken part in the northern roundtable, so a little bit different as far as what your topics of interest are from my perspective. So that's about all I have from the conference.
Okay, I'm going to open it up to public comment, and then we'll bring it back to the commissioners.
If you'd like to make a comment in chambers, you can come up to the podium. On Zoom, you can press *9 on your phone or the raise your hand icon. Elias Salinas.
Okay, so it was a great learning experience and some different things that I didn't get a chance to last year. But I did learn from one of the speakers that it's their understanding that the project for creating a fire district in San Benito County has been paused. They're waiting to hire a consultant from either Washington or Oregon. I don't remember what state it was. That's what I found out. And then one of the consistent meetings that I went to was the MSRs, And even if it wasn't a meeting, it went back to MSRs, as opposed to last year. That was not the focus, and it was kind of great actually to keep harping on the MSRs. So if you haven't done so already, sent an MSR application. Is that online on the county website? Is there an application, what it looks like, what the MSR applications look like? There was an old one, and there was an old answer, and that's the farthest that we can go back. And there isn't any other. So I'm just wondering if the application is online or if it's going to be online. And I personally would like to see what that review looks like, what they have to answer for. So thank you.
Any other public comments?
No other comments, no one on Zoom.
Okay, I'm gonna first, before we bring it back to the commissioners, we do have 3 things on, or actually there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 things on under the applications and forms. I have gone through them. I'm not sure if you've had a chance, Jennifer, to go through them, but they need some love. There's some prior executive officers that haven't been here for quite some time prior to Bill on some of the forms. So if that could be something that we could
It's on
have
the
looked at,
list.
that would be great. So I'm going to bring it back to the commissioners. Anyone would like to comment about the Cal LAFCO or any of the updates?
The Cal LAFCO conference was very informative, and so I agree. It was wise to spend our time to invest to go in and go. And those who weren't able to go, I would suggest that maybe next year, if you can. And I thank you for your willingness to update the forms and get us, into 2023, almost 2024 information. But other than that, I don't have anything else to report. Thank you.
Commissioner Casey?
Sure. It was great, and I was really thrilled that I was able to go, because initially I wasn't going, and then my calendar freed up, so at the last minute I was able to go, and I did get to do the LAFCO 101, which I think anybody who's new needs to attend, because it was a great overview, really kind of gives you that perspective, that broad perspective. And the other one that I attended before I got really sick and spent half of my time in my room was listening to our counsel, Josh, when they were talking about outside jurisdiction, outside service, which of course is a issue near and dear to my heart. And I think the thing I took away from that, one of the most important things that Josh and another presenter said was talking, because I'd had a little back and forth with someone in the community who was saying that you shouldn't, what did he say? If you extend your sphere of influence, it was something about when you had to annex in, you had to have it immediately, you had to be annexing in property or into the city. And I was like, I don't think so, but that question actually got asked by someone, and it was discussed that, that the actual code is really silent on that. There's no time frame. So that made me feel a whole lot better, because I thought, wow, are we running afoul of something? So that was pretty informative. So made it all worthwhile.
Commissioner Betancourt, I know you didn't attend Cal LAFCO, but any comments that you'd like to make on the item here?
Well, on the MSRs, you're not just working on one, right? You're working on a bunch.
All of the wastewater providers. Mm-hmm.
Or just the water districts?
Wastewater.
Just the wastewater?
There's multiple wastewater districts, and they're all being reviewed at the same time.
Okay, got it. Is that... So, if I recall, when we did MSRs, which is a long time ago, so you're going to have to forgive me because I don't know. Well, I thought that our executive officer sent out to all the people that needed to update. Now, I forget how many they were. And then as they reported back, some ignored it, if I recall. And so why didn't, is it different now?
So we did send out a request for information, a questionnaire, and asked each of the districts to upload, and the cities to upload information to like a SharePoint or Dropbox. So we've received all of their documents that they have. And then also the questionnaire, with the exception of Sunny Slope. They're the only ones that haven't responded yet. But Sunny Slope will provide it. They've just been busy.
Right.
And that's okay, because we can work on the others while we're waiting for them to respond. So far, non-response hasn't been an issue.
Okay, what if there is somebody that doesn't respond? What do we do?
Well, my first step would probably be, follow up with phone calls and such. But if that doesn't work, then I generally set up an in-person interview. And I find it's really hard to refuse to provide information when I'm sitting right in front of them. So that's usually answers the issue. And people will sit and go through all of the questions that we have, and I can type it out, which takes less of their time, and people often like. And then I can ask for the documents because I'll be in their office. So.
Okay, thank you.
Can I ask a
Yes.
quick question?
Go right ahead.
About the wastewater review. I was just curious, I know you're talking to agencies and some stakeholders. Does that include, like, because we have Veolia who runs the plant, do you actually talk to them at all? Do you talk about the actual operation of the plant? Or are we just looking in more general terms?
So we'll request information from them, and I will try to be in touch with them, but they're not under the same obligation or requirements that the LAFCO agencies are. Those agencies, the cities and special districts that are under LAFCO jurisdiction, have to provide the information. It's in the code to conduct the MSRs. A private company is not required to do that, and they're not also subject to the public records requests, et cetera.
Yeah, I know it's just really important for us to figure out how well they're operating. So as a vendor of ours, if you didn't get a response, it would be nice to hear back so we can contact them,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
so.
So I'll let the city know if we don't get the information that we need from them.
Great.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
One thing, Jennifer, I wanted to make sure that you're on top of is that, I heard it was a $17.5 million grant that's we're gonna consolidate, 4 districts into one. And because it's time, I don't know what the word is. but-
Sensitive?
Yeah, time sensitive. Make sure you stay on top of that. I believe it's at the board is the one that got the grant, right?
We did. The county got the grant.
Right.
Yes, that's correct.
But sometimes your folks don't work too good or too fast. Excuse me. They're good. They're overwhelmed, but please stay on top of that because we don't want to lose that grant.
Okay. Any other comments? I'm going to just make a couple real quick ones here. On the wastewater MSR review update, last meeting you had the priorities. We discussed what the priorities were going to be. Were we going to post that on the web? That priority list to kind of have a public heads up of where we're going?
The presentation is on the
It is.
project website.
Okay, great,
Mhm.
great. And then on application status, your form you added on the web that shows the log of the status of each of the applications.
No, I have to do that.
I would
Thanks
really
for-
like that one added because I think it keeps the communications going with the applicants so that they know where we're at on stuff. And then regarding Cal LAFCO, the Commissioner 101, LAFCO 101 was phenomenal. I got so much out of it. It also affirmed some of the things I thought I knew, but wasn't really sure if I had it right. So I felt pretty positive after finding out that I actually knew something. So I felt pretty good about that. The big things I got out of the conference was, I'm going to agree with the public comment, the MSR reviews and how important they are and how underutilized they were in the past. I didn't realize this was like not just our county or our commission. It was, kind of a statewide issue that was going on. The other thing is that outreach and communication is super important, and that updating your policies and procedures. So I'm so happy that we've started this process and have an ad hoc working on this. That's all I have there. I have something just from, I don't want to go off topic, so I'm going to go back to this. We already did public comment on this. I got the nod. So we are going to move on to, unless there's other comments, which is commissioners' announcements and requests for future agenda items. Nope. Okay, public comment on future agenda items? Do we have to do that? Yeah.
If you'd like to make a comment in chambers, please come up to the podium. Elia Salinas?
Only because the chair brought it up. Or, no, I'm sorry, Jennifer. Between the two of you, is that we cannot, and it was Mayor Casey, anyway, you cannot force a vendor or a private entity to respond. And I don't know whether LAFCO cannot, as a LAFCO agency, what is it that we can do? What can LAFCO do to American Medical Response? Okay. They are very expensive. They got a 20% rate increase in February. In February, because then COVID hit in March. So I specifically remember that. So, does LAFCO have any authority, or can they use some kind of an arm to have or not have, I guess, American Medical Response answer to this public agency? Can we get an answer to that?
I think we're going to have to do a little research on that, but I really appreciate the question, because today I understand from agenda review, there's a CSA out there that is a county-wide CSA, and that's how they assessed the fee on the property taxes to fund the emergency transportation. And if there's a CSA, then we have some say. So I'd like to add that to the list of research that we could, and I can work with the CSA coordinator on that. So thank you so much for the comment.
Is that a CSA or CFD then?
I was told it was a CSA, not a CFD.
Okay.
So that could give us some authority, but we can get that clarified, and then when we get the information, we can give it to Josh to kind of tell us what our legal rights are. Since we didn't have any other comments, I want to make one comment. I didn't want to do it on the wrong item. I did meet with the CSA coordinator from County Planning and from RMA, and Linda Young is really excited to have a collaborative working relationship with the LAFCO Commission and the executive officer on moving forward and educating about what the CSAs are, but also what the LAFCO process is. So out of this right now, she is doing her introductions at all of the CSA meetings. They're gathering the residents together to educate them about the CSA, and she's going to start paralleling in us as LAFCO, and I figured that we can kind of communicate about what that outreach could look like. So that would be a future agenda item, so that it's approved from the commission what the LAFCO kind of talking points are when we're going around doing outreach and education about LAFCO. And I'd like all the feedback from the commissioners on this. So that's kind of what I'm working on the side. Come on up to the mic.
We had a forum a couple of years ago with LAFCO, and we invited the public. We invited the planning commissioner, city council members, all the board of supervisors, and staff had to be there, obviously. And there was a presentation of what is LAFCO's arm, how far does it extend. And sometime, hopefully in the new year, in the spring, maybe we can do that again and invite the CSAs to come to this. We had it at Ridgemark, which was it was a big enough place for it. Depending on how many members of the CSA or individual people want to show up, I think it would be a great idea to do that again. So look into it.
Thank you, and we can keep that on the list to go along with our outreach efforts. So if there are no other comments from the commissioners, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate it. Have a good evening.